Well, hello, my friends. What is going on? It is back on the YouTubes, spelt with a Z. Welcome, hello. I really don't even know what I want to talk about today. I just know I haven't put out a video in almost a week, and my timeline to do videos is pretty compressed, so I just want to talk about, I guess, the state of my system, showcase a little bit of everything that I have right now in this room, this system, the things that I've added, things that I like, things that have worked out best, how I got to this point. Just to do a bit of review on where I am. And the reason why I want to do a review of, or an overview of where I am now, is what I think a lot of people can be, what I think people can relate to, I should say, is this feeling of wanting to get more, you know? This feeling of like, oh, is my system enough? Is this what I really want to do? I've had my system for a long time, but I have this itch. I want to do more. So that's what I want to talk about in this video. Well, my friends, welcome back. Thank you for being here and supporting my channel. Today I did want to talk about all of my system, a lot of the stuff that I have here. Again, I'm sitting on the floor because I feel like this is the most entertaining angle. I've got my Rotel here. I've actually got, let me move my camera, this really old Axiom Audio center channel, which is actually supporting my little projector light for the wall behind me. So let me just readjust the shot. So yeah, I wanted to talk about this idea of like always wanting to move on, wanting to update the system, wanting to buy something new. There's lots of products that are out on the market. A lot of brands, as we know, companies in general have this thing where they need to grow every year. The whole point of their business is to earn money. In order to earn their money, they need to have something of value that people want to spend on. There are certain companies and businesses like lawyers, funeral homes, water and services, taxes, things like that are already in place. They don't need to advertise. They don't have to make anything new. Their business just runs end over end. However, in most hobbies, things like, you know, cars or sports or photography, audio, we have this plethora of options and choices to choose from every year, every decade. With photography and cars, a lot of the time, vintage and retro sort of things like tape decks and tape players and CD players, vinyl players. These are old technologies with old product types with new technologies added into the modern day. So over time, they get better. In audio, we have these things to choose from. In photography, same thing. Lenses and glass doesn't necessarily age. They get used and worn out, but glass doesn't expire. So you can still use old and vintage equipment into the new era, but why do we want something different and new? What is this, other than it being a marketing ploy, the things that, you know, they want us to buy, things like your amplifiers, generally, unless they break down or they have a fault or there's some user error or an accident happens, heaven forbid, knock on wood. It's not really, well, it's probably real wood. It's from IKEA. The amplifiers generally last a long time. You would invest in a decent amplifier like Bryston, for instance, in Canada, and I don't have any B-roll of Bryston, but maybe I'll put a logo on screen. Bryston has like a 20 to 25 year warranty for their equipment. So if you buy them at one point in your audio system as a separate, it will last you those 20 years. You won't need to worry about upgrading all the time. Amplifiers and power amplifiers on their own don't have any components that need to be updated. There's no HDMI board to keep up with. There's no preamp or DAC sort of things to invest in. That's one reason that I eventually moved to separates. I have my separate CD player here, a separate preamp here, the Orchard Audio amps that are on a DIY platform that I made for them. I will show you in a B-roll. And yes, I'm still narrating my B-roll, so I remember when I watch back my videos that I'm supposed to put a B-roll here. So ta-da, the Orchard Audio amplifier and the stand that I made for them. It's pretty silly. So yeah, things like separates will save you the time and the money overall if you are investing in the right pieces. Preamps don't necessarily change per se unless you need a type of input that is not commonly available on older models. Things like Ethernet and updates and over-the-air type of updates. If there's a new type of DAC, you can buy a DAC that's separate, but each one of these things is individually going to cost more than, say, if you bought an integrated system. Now, I'm not really schooling anybody. This is just informing the path that I have taken, the reason why I ended up with the system that I have. And this idea of like something new. What do we want that's new? Why do we want something that's new? If a DAC changes in an integrated amp, you probably, unless it has the inputs, you probably have to upgrade to get the new DAC, because a lot of the integrateds, depending on the money you're spending, doesn't have the inputs for external DACs or analog inputs that in that sense. Most of them will. That I think about it, most of them are going to have those, or digital inputs if the integrated amp has a streamer inside. The streamer and DAC are all going to be built in. And of course you can buy an extra streamer, but then you have two at that point, one built in and one external. So there's these loops and these catches with product. And I think that in my position, I've been very, very fortunate to have some of the most and highest rated and performing towers in the audio space over the last 5, if not almost 10 years. I think they came out 9 years ago. The first couple of reviews that I saw from Villaman and a few other people, the Arundel Towers that was the first time I saw them. Since then, they've made their rounds and pretty much everybody's had a listen, and most people do agree that they sound great. Now, do they fit everybody's lifestyle and budget? And maybe not. You know, they're not expensive. They're not $10,000-$15,000 expensive. Their new towers are, which I would love to hear, and I still haven't. But the 1723s have been around for quite a long time, and from what I can tell, they have done a great job, a great engineering marvel in terms of price, performance, value, that kind of thing. These are amazing, and I'm so glad to have these Arundel 1723 THX towers. I wish the name was a bit shorter. I wish they would have called them like, I don't know, some other kind of a name that's short. One-syllable names are a godsend for explaining what, model names are. But these are great, and now paired with the SVS subs, it brings up that lowest end octave and also helps me control the bass in this room, because this is a small room. I'm still in an apartment. I'm a bachelor living on my own. I get to make and decide whatever I want in here. However, I need to make some compromises, because my favorite line is, physics doesn't care about your feelings. So I may not want something in a certain place, and I might want to sit in a certain area, but these speakers and these subs are going to interact with the room, and I am just a passenger. We are all just passengers when it comes to physics. The physics is just going to physics. And in order to manipulate them, you need to use some alternative factors like the sub phase, the position, their crossover frequencies, things like port plugs, things like that are going to help with aligning the bass and the frequency response in your room better, so that you don't have any issues with the sound output. Now, we know that, and there is a few upgrades in separates. If you have just towers, you have to deal with the bass that the towers are going to give you, because their position in the room is going to get you that stereo imaging, which is very important for most audiophiles. Music lovers as well. You could put a music, like a Bose Lifestyle System Wave, what did they call it? Bose Wave Acousta something? I don't remember. They had a Wave something in their, their lifestyle products. I'll probably get a picture and put it on in here so you can see what I'm talking about. So you could put one of those on in a room, and of course there's a lot of brands now that make some of these, like Name Audio makes some, I know that Sonus Faber just came out with some recently, the Omnia, that's another one. These are lifestyle products that are wireless streaming, speakers built in, you just plug into the wall, you connect with your phone, you can just stream everything that way. Wireless has come up a long way. It allows you to play these sounds like in a room, but those things are not going to give you stereo imaging like a properly set up stereo system is going to. It's mixed into the recording, and when you set up your speakers correctly, you're going to get that stereo imaging back. However, in your room, depending on where you put those speakers, you know the bass is not going to agree with you. All rooms are different. All speakers placed there are going to be different. Adding the subs for me allowed me to manipulate that bass response, and I got a better sound. Same thing with the Gaia acoustics that I just added to all of my speakers. Bookshelves in the other room around my computer, the towers here in my room, the subwoofers that I have in my room as well. It tightened everything up. The clarity in the tweeters improved. The mid-range on the top end improved a little bit, but it's a little bit better, and that's exactly what this journey is about. Why would I want to change anything? Why am I continuing this change? Well, in my opinion, part of it is I've seen what a little bit of a change can do. I've seen what the Gaia acoustics can do. I've seen what the Aperta stands can do for my bookshelves and the subs. Now my mind is like, well, what else can I do? Do I get power cables? Do I get interconnect cables? Do I get, other types of isolation devices? Am I going to get speaker cables next? Speaker cables are definitely on my list. I've talked to a number of different brands and local dealers about Nordost and Kimber Cable, and I tried Synergistic Research cables. I have some things from Amazon right now, but I talked to Prosper Cables down in Texas. He's agreed to make, or not agreed, but has said that he can customize some cables for me. So now I'm interested in, what do cables bring to the table? What can I get out of the cables that I appreciate? What kind of sound differences are they going to make? It's not like EQing my sound, but it's more like revealing what kind of sounds I'm getting. The Gaia acoustics reduced the resonance in the cabinet. The fidelity went up. If the cables are in the way and there's a capacitance in the cable, do I get new cables? And then all of a sudden the fidelity goes up. And that's what we're about. It's HiFi. Highest fidelity is almost the chase, right? Like, that's why I want to pursue things. But that's not all. I mean, in my case, I'm lucky. I wanted to try out the Bucard audio. I got that opportunity because Mads Bucard reached out to me, and we've known each other a little while, casually and through the space and through my photography and videos and mutual friends. I'm fortunate enough that he reached out to me and gave me that opportunity. So I've had the A10s here, and fortunately for my friends and fans also, I've been able to compare the Bucard A10s with another great opportunity, the Radiant Acoustics. The Radiant Acoustics Clarity 6.2s are that 8 AMT and a waveguide with the fins to control directivity, the Purify woofer with the Purify passive radiators on the side, and the depth of bass that you can get from these speakers is fantastic. In the right environment, set up the right way, I believe the Radiants really, really dig and shine better than almost anything that I've heard. I've also been fortunate enough to get my hands on the KEF R3s. Now, the KEF R3s have been sitting out quite a bit lately because I found different characteristics in those and other speakers that I have that, in my case or in my position, I didn't really prefer. I like the way they sound. They were certainly better than a lot of the other budget stuff that I have. I thought that they performed a little bit smoother than the SVS. They performed better overall than the monolith acoustics, monolith speakers that I have. But compared to the Bucard Audio, which have their own amps and master tunings, and the Radiant Acoustics, which have an AMT and Purify drivers, each of these types of technologies are a step above. They're also twice the price. The KEF R3 Metas are in the $2,000 range, and each of the Bucard Audio and the Radiant Acoustics are into the $4,000 range. So what can I expect? Reasonably, I expect that I can get better. That's the chase. That's the reason why to pursue things. The things that I want them to be as best as I can get for the least amount of money, or at least a reasonable amount of effort to get them. Now, I'll say it, I've been lucky, I've been fortunate thanks to Arundel SVS, Bucard Audio, Radiant Acoustics, even my friends at Rotel and EQ Audio, to Ed and Michelle, who have helped me out over the last number of years, and to Michelle and Sarah at Toronto Audio Fest. They've also been a great help in my journey over the last number of years, as well as a number of really good friends of mine in the hobby, like Jay at Jay Ziagi and Brian at Woody's Sound Up, and a number of different friends, and all of those out there. They've been, I don't want to leave everybody out, but I don't want to sit here and list off 100 names. So if I left your name out, don't be offended. It's just the names that came to my mind. There's so many of you that have been wonderful. Those that have been on my channel, those that have commented. Each one of these factors, each one of you out there has helped me come to an understanding about what to get next. With the Rotel 1592 Mark II, actually 15, I think it's a 1590 Mark II, which is the Texas Instruments DAC. This has been an incredible experience. XLR outputs, 2 sets of XLR outputs, subwoofer outputs, so each sub is receiving their own signal. They're not independent, and there's no bass controls inside other than tone. So this, in my case, is one of those things that I've been thinking about changing. Now, I already have amps, but as far as preamps are concerned, what different preamp has some of the other features that I might want to use? I'm not really sure. I've been on a hunt lately. I've been looking at options. I've been talking with some reps. There was an incredible deal by another really great friend, audio by Mark Jones. He was here in Canada. He presented a system that he has as a trade-in or something around those lines that I have just been freaking out, thinking like, oh, this is the end game. This is a way better preamp, way better amplifiers. But the thing is, price. I love what I love, the aesthetic, the appearance, how it's going to fit into my system. I think the preamp would really do me well. I think it's an improvement over the 1590 Mark II. Clearly, it's in the Michi line, so I'm not going to give away the whole system, but the P5 Michi is going to be would be an incredible upgrade. However, there are a number of things about it that I know that I would still need to deal with. One, it doesn't have an internal streamer. A lot of the other units right now do have internal streamers, but there's a lot of really good streamers that I could pair with it. I have a streamer now in the Weem Pro Plus, and that's been doing me really great. Do I really need to upgrade further? Probably not. It's a streamer. It does well. It's output. Maybe the power supply would get me better. I don't have a lot of money to throw around on these things, so the chase is very tactical. I have to think about where to get it. Is it going to be new? Is it going to be used? Where my work is going. My work right now, my day job has been pretty steady, so that affords me a lot of really good income. My extra work like photography, writing, that kind of thing is a little bit hit and miss. I'm just starting. However, a lot of people have said some of my photos are quite good. Maybe I'll show a few here. I've been practicing a little bit more, trying to push my own sort of limits. I'm chasing my own potential as well, right? It's not just HiFi that I'm into in terms of fidelity. I'm into personal fidelity. I want to make myself better. I want to learn more. I want to behave better. I want to respond better. I want to treat my friends better. I want to do these things in life that are going to make me a better person, as well as improving on my system. The system doesn't make me who I am. I'm making the system. If I improve myself, then my perspective and position and personality and everything else that goes into the system is going to improve as well. My perception is the reality. If I can improve my perception, my reality improves. That's a fairly philosophical thing that I'm saying here, but my channel's a bit mixed. So in my perspective, the offers that are on deck right now get me excited, but it's not necessarily what I'm going to do. Say, for instance, today, if you're friends on my Facebook page, you'd know that I had a pretty scruffy beard. Even last week, I had quite the mop on my face. I put it to my Facebook and asked if anybody thought like, hey, what would I do? I have this, I feel like this, I feel like this. And I just asked some friends what they thought, what it would look like, this and that. A lot of my really good friends are saying like, you're gonna look good regardless, do whatever you want. And some of the guys are saying that I would look younger, or don't do this, or, another friend of mine said, hey, it's your face, do what you want. And she's right. I did what I wanted. That was part of it, is I was going to do what I wanted anyways. But that's a way for me to have a conversation with my friends, for me to talk about things. Like, that's what we do in audio. I say, hey, what do you think of these speakers? Hey, take a look at my system, or, you know what I mean? Like, other people's opinions have zero effect on how our system sounds. They may have some facts or figures to give to you, to advise to some people based on what things like the toe in, if your center channel's back on a shelf or at the front of a shelf, the diffraction points, some of the angles. Some people may see something that's a little bit off and it's factually correct, but they don't know how your system's gonna sound. Much like shaving my face was up to me, the sound of your system is entirely on you. To quote myself, your perception is your reality, and no one else has your perception. So for me, the chase, trying to get something different and new, is going to rely entirely on me, even if I ask for advice. If I share my system like I am with everybody, my subjective experience, as best as I can articulate it, is only part of the story, and I encourage everybody to listen to a system on their own when they've come to those decisions. For my preamp journey, for my amplifier journey, I'll have to experiment. I'll have to borrow. I'll have to maybe buy on a loan, or with the level of luck that I've had lately with my speakers, Bucart, Radiant, Kef, I've gotten to borrow these speakers. So maybe there's some amplifiers out there that I can borrow as well. I've asked Orchard Audio about upgrading to the Ultra amplifiers, which are bigger, more powerful, more capacitance, so they're going to control the bass more. They're going to be smoother on all of these frequencies. I don't mean smoother, I mean like less distortion. But the GaN-fed amplifiers that Orchard Audio makes are already really, really super clean in terms of distortion levels. Even at 2 ohms, they can handle everything very, very well. So why upgrade? That's my question, is why upgrade? It's not just a matter of companies asking for the money, but sometimes when we learn more about what we want, when we learn more about what the equipment can do in a space, some of the upgrades are going to get us that little bit of a difference. And like I've said, from my experience with the isoacoustics feet, these isoacoustics feet improve the system to this degree better than buying new speakers to a point, because the cost of the feet is less than the new speakers. If I wanted to go up from the Arendelle 1723 THX and get the 1528 Tower 8s, they're $9,000, where these 1723s are about $6,500, at least Canadian. The 9,000 figure is USD, so I'm talking about $4,700 US, and double that at 9,000 each, tower, or at least pair of towers. So it's a lot, but is it worth it? I don't know. I need to bug Jay about listening to those towers. I'm not going to fly down to Florida and bug Don and Youthman and Gene about their towers that they're borrowing down there. So I have to wait. And that patience is a virtue thing. It's really hard to sit and think, I know there's these improvements, but what can I do for now? So I feel you, I relate to you. This is an empathetic post. This is to say that chase and that desire to move on and pick up something new, and that FOMO, missing out or moving on, like this interplay of personal decision and choice and your system and what's what. The best advice is going to be based in facts. So just be careful who you're listening to. My friends happen to be very trustworthy, and I'm glad to have met all the peers in this world that allow me to access the best in audio. I've been fortunate. I've been lucky so far. The Arundel Towers, after a number of years, I decided this was going to be the best choice, and I pretty much landed that one perfectly. The SVS subs, SB1000 Pros, the new amp plate versus the previous model, these are Pros. They're perfect for this space. It's a small room. I don't need more than that. I know that JTRs are the shit, and they will literally shake everything out of the space. Yes, I know Scott. Scott's room now has 2018s in it. If you don't know Scott's channel, you should definitely check out Living It with Scott and Kat. Their channel, his space is renowned, 150 some odd decibels in a basement. Unbelievable. I don't need that much bass. I like bass, but I don't really, I like bass, but I don't need that much bass. So my journey is going to be in fidelity. I'm chasing whatever fidelity I can. The speakers are going to have to wait. I'm not really sure what's happening, but I know what's going to happen now, and that is the end of the video. Thank you for joining me and watching this one, this story, this vlog, my perspective on audio systems and chasing something new. Needs some temperance. Some things are going to be improvements. Some things are not going to be improvements. Some things work. Some things don't. I believe that snake oil salesmen are real, and you just need to believe and trust the right people. Test the products. Get some experience and find out what's real about it. Anyways, I'm going to get out of here. I'll leave you to it. Thank you very much for joining me for this one. Tell me your story. What's new in your system? A word of the day is going to be upgrades. Write upgrades and tell me what you think. If you enjoyed the video, thumbs up. If you like any of the content, if you watched any previous videos and you do appreciate it, subscribing lets me know people like the stuff. Liking and commenting is also very important. It continues the conversation into the community. If I've done a good job and I've earned it, then click the subscribe button. If you think I messed something up, then tell me in the comments. And if you're watching on a TV somewhere, then happy holidays. Merry Christmas to those who celebrate. To everybody else in your own holidays, celebrate with peace and kindness. Treat everybody well. Treat your audio systems better and treat yourself to good audio. I'll see you in the next video.